Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Side Guys Football Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts, Number the Side, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Side Guys, Mr. Tad the Side. And Tad, in most leagues, we're in the final regular season week before the fantasy playoffs start. So, how are you looking in most of your leagues? Like, are you trending towards making the playoffs? Are you 50-50? Are you, eating pancakes again? Like, what's going on here?
I was just about to say, it's amazing to think just a couple months ago, 8 months ago, I was at IHOP on a Tuesday afternoon eating pancakes because in the league that we share, I'm currently sitting at number one, going to yet another win, which probably means I'll only finish with one loss in that season. By the way, Amir, real quick, do you know who that one loss was to?
It was in the very beginning. It was
week 2 or 3.
It was to my buddy Brad, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Nope, it was not.
Then who was it to?
You.
You lost? I don't think so. You didn't lose to me.
All right, I will look this up while we're talking, but I'm 90% sure I lost
because
to you.
The only time we played, you beat me, and I could have beaten you if I started Najee Harris. Yeah, I swear.
Okay, all right, we'll look it up. But in other leagues, I am fighting for that first overall position. I'm looking. The reason I'm looking at my side is because the Patriots-Bills game is going on right now. I need Nick Folk to score 15 points to secure that number one seed. Patriots went for 2. I'm very not happy with them right now. And then, of course, when it comes to DraftKings, I'm killing you, so I'm happy there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I got a mix, in our league that we share together. I'm in second place, secured a playoff spot, so most likely we'll both get bye weeks in our league, respectively. Playing in a few other leagues.
You were correct, by the way. I beat you by 4 points in week 3.
Like I said, you
lost
squeaked
to,
by.
Who is Team Fart?
Yeah, that's my buddy Brad.
Yeah, that's Brad. Yeah, there we go. Yep.
A couple of the leagues, unfortunately, I played in a $50 auction league. My roster just didn't work out so well. I'm still doing bad in there. Playing in a buddy of mine's league, I'm second place in. He did it by division, so I'm about to make the playoffs there. Another league that I told you about, it's a rotisserie league, so there's no head-to-head. It's just everybody against everybody, just a points total. So fortunately, I drafted. I had Calvin Ridley. That didn't work out for me. I drafted Ricky Mostert. That didn't work out for me. So I had a couple bad decisions, unfortunately, for draft, which is now why I'm in 9th place out of 14. So I'll avoid last place, which is a double entry fee for next season. So I don't have to worry about that. But I was hoping I'd do a little bit better. So I got about 50-50 in all the leagues that I'm playing in. So, yeah, it's going to get crazy, as we head into the fantasy playoffs. I mean, it's getting very competitive in the NFL as well with all the playoffs. And hey, our new sponsors want to make sure that you could watch some of these crazy games in person, and that's TickPick. The greatest thing about TickPick is that no service fees, Tad. So it's like if you're buying, on your Vivid Seats or SeatGeek or StubHub, it's like you see the price for the tickets, but then once you get to the confirmation screen to pay, actually, you see that there's those service fees. Well, not on TickPick. You go to tickpick.com, you find the tickets. What you see for the price is the exact price you're going to pay when you get to the confirmation screen to actually check out. And here's a great thing too, is that once you make your purchase, within 30 minutes, if you find a price that's even cheaper, TickPick will refund you your amount that you paid plus an extra 10% in TickPick credit because they are that confident that they have the most competitive prices. And Tad, I browsed other websites when I've made ticket purchases. Actually, when I went to that Saints-Niners game, I bought my tickets off of TickPick because I saw that they had the no fees. And the bigger thing too is that not only do they not have no fees, but they are consistently $40 to $50 cheaper than all the other ticket selling places on the website, on the internet today. So definitely they're a great resource for you guys. So hey, if you want to go check out some games during these final 5 weeks of the season, TickPick wants to help you out. We have a special link for you right in the comment section. Click that, go make a purchase, go see a game. Obviously, observe proper COVID-19 protocol depending on where you're watching your games. But yeah, the good folks at TickPick
in Texas that doesn't exist. So.
Regardless, the good folks at TickPick want you to watch a game in person. So yeah, go ahead and click that link in the comment section. You'll be directed right to the TickPick website. Go check a game. It's not just for the NFL. It's also, basketball and baseball and not just sports, but like concerts and other events as well. So yeah, go check them out. Go make a purchase. But hey, let's move on with our waiver wire episode here, Tad. Let's just jump right into it. Who do you like at the quarterback position here in week 14?
I'm going to try this name. Tagovailoa. See, he's trying to help me out here. He's no help at all. Tagovailoa.
Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, I think you got it there the second time.
Thank you for your help, Cap. I appreciate it. You whispered in my ear as he passed by. So Tua, look, yes. First things first, I know he's on a bye week this upcoming weekend, so if you need someone to help you right away, not your guy for obvious reasons. But if you need someone, and I will give you guys a little bit of a story here, is I have Matthew Stafford on my roster in my other league. I saw, the red zone alert coming in, going, Matthew Stafford may be out for a couple plays. I was like, oh my God, what happened? And he did the typical throw down thing. He hit another player's helmet. I'm like, please don't break your finger, because if your finger is broken, I'm screwed, because I have no backup quarterback. So if that happens to you, where you have a top 5 fantasy quarterback and he goes down, Tua is your man. Because he has scored 15-plus points in 2 of his last 3 games, and his schedule coming out of the bye week after this weekend is a cupcake. They play the Jets, the Saints, the Titans, and the Patriots. So, I give credit where credit is due. New England is the second highest-rated fantasy pass defense this year. Now, Murr, I will ask you, what out of those next opponents, what do you think is the next highest ranking when it comes to fantasy pass defense? Not the team, just guess the ranking. 9th. Okay, it's 23rd.
Wow, okay.
So the other 3 teams are the bottom 9.
There you go.
Of pass
well, see, I was kind of right. Bottom 9. I was thinking along the same lines.
Sure, buddy. So bottom line is, and here's the other thing too, is I know I did list out the weeks. That Patriots game is the very last week of the season. So I know for some of you that matters, but for others, your season's done at that point. So it really doesn't matter. So bottom line is Tua is starting to finally play well. He's playing a lot of shit defenses coming forward. This is a very good pickup if you need the emergency quarterback option, or even if you're just looking for an insurance option. Because like I said, when I saw Matt Stafford hurt his finger, I was like, I'm screwed. I'm done. And if that happens to you this week or next, Tua's your guy to look for as a very, very good emergency Band-Aid.
Yeah, because it's also dependent on the league that you play in. Some people, once the playoffs have started, they totally check out. They don't monitor the rosters anymore. For the teams that don't make the playoffs, they totally check out. They don't do anything. But in other leagues, there's still teams that are, even though they're not in the playoffs, they still participate on the waiver wire.
I hate
and
those
that
guys
screws
so
you.
much.
Exactly. Because if you're in the playoffs and you get affected by non-playoff teams making waiver transactions to affect your roster, these things can hurt you, obviously, if something like, in Tad's sort of example there, that if Matt Stafford were to have an injury again and he was suffering that during the playoffs and you can't pick anybody else up, that's going to hurt you. So yeah, it sort of warrants, sort of taking extra precaution. Even though Tua's on a bye week this week, you add him so then you could keep him as that insurance policy once the playoffs come around, and you don't have to worry about what happens now that you're screwed, that your QB1 at the time is no longer, a QB1 essentially because he's on the bench or whatever. So yeah, completely agree. It's a good insurance policy to have a backup quarterback. I'm going more with the streaming option for this week though, in case you have a bye week team. We got the Colts, we got the Dolphins, we got the Patriots, and the Eagles all on a bye week. So you already mentioned it, Tua Tagovailoa in case he was your starting quarterback. Mac Jones has been really good, so he could be your starting quarterback. Jalen Hurts possibly is your starting quarterback. Or, maybe your Carson Wentz is also starting for you. So you need a streaming option for this week. And I'm going to go with Teddy Bridgewater of the Denver Broncos. Now,
why?
Yes.
Why?
If you watched the game on Sunday night, it was not his best performance.
Also, why? If you're watching that game, why?
It's true. He went 22 of 40 for 257 passing yards.
They're still holding
one passing
kickoffs in
touchdown,
the Bills game. God damn it, I'm going to
and 2 interceptions. One was returned for a touchdown. So, Yes, it was a bad game for sure, but I mean, there are times where he's played well over the course of the season too, and the biggest thing is he's played well against bad defenses. So, he's had 5 games this season with 18 or more points, and 3 of those games were also 20 or more points. So, it's not a huge number of games, especially now that we're here in the double-digit weeks. We're here in week 13, about to conclude week 13. He's only had 5 games where he scored 18 or more points. That's not the greatest numbers there, but the biggest thing, like I said, he's capitalizing against playing against bad defenses. So, some of those teams that he played the Giants, who have bad defense, played the Jaguars, who have bad defense, played the Raiders, who have bad defense. So he's been able to take advantage of all that. So that's sort of alludes to the fact that heading into week 14, they play a bad defense in the Detroit Lions. So Lions are allowing nearly 250 passing yards per game. I know they just got their first win. They may be riding a little bit of a high there, but I expect this Broncos team to bounce back. Javonte Williams, I mean, we talked about this guy being a great fantasy playoff addition.
Turning it on.
It is starting now. So it's like, if you have him, excellent. If he's on the waiver wire for some reason, go get him, because after that game,
if he is on the waiver wire in your league, take every other member out of your league right now. Like, that is ridiculous. I didn't even consider that as a possibility.
Yeah, there are some weird league settings out there. Dude. Like I said, I played a league where there's only 3 bench spots, so it's like that can affect things too. So it's just like, it's a possibility. But regardless, he is going to be flying faster than hotcakes. Like, I mean, he is going to be gone so fast.
Hotcakes? Were you in the 1920s?
Definitely,
are we at the Brooklyn World Fair?
He's going to have a great game against the Detroit Lions for sure. But I also think, they may try to capitalize on stopping Javonte Williams. There may be some scoring opportunities for Teddy Bridgewater as well. I think he should get somewhere in that 225 passing yards with 2 touchdowns, multiple touchdowns, I think. So it's not going to be great numbers, but in a streaming week, if you need that option there, I like it for streaming purposes for this week only.
He's a quarterback playing in Detroit. I can't really add much more to that. Yes, that's a good pickup. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I really, really want Bridgewater to be better than he is, but he's only an okay quarterback. But again, he's playing one of the worst defenses in the league. He's a very, very good streaming option. Honestly, me and Amir were debating, how much longer do we go with waiver wires? We'll make an announcement about that later on. But, yeah, especially looking at the state of waiver wires, if you really, really need a quarterback, Bridgewater's without a doubt your best bet going forward. If you need someone for this week. If you need someone after this week, it's Tua, because I'm smarter than Amir.
Sure, yeah, I completely agree.
Well, don't say sure like that sarcastically.
Sure. So Bridgewater's only a streaming option for this week, but yeah, Tua for a long-term option is a smarter play. So, Tal, let's move to the ball carriers here at the running back position. Who you like here in week 14?
This one's very quick. It's Adrian Peterson. I never thought I'd say that. Honest to God, guys, I didn't even know he was an active member of the Seahawks until I saw him on Red Zone. I knew the Seahawks were interested in signing him. I just personally wasn't that interested in the story itself to keep track of it. And then I saw number 21 score, and I'm like, who the hell's 21? And they're like, that's Adrian Peterson for his 106th touchdown. I'm like, oh, they did end up signing him. Okay. But here's the whole thing, is they gave Adrian Peterson 11 carries throughout the game. His usage was not that great. I won't read off the stats because it's going to scare you away from my recommendation. But here's the only stats you need to know. Is most of his carries came within the 5-yard line. So even if Alex Collins comes back from injury this weekend, I still think Adrian Peterson is now the designated goal line back for Seattle. So if you're looking for that flex play, that could get you 7 points. Or even if Seattle has a really good week, can get you, 14 points if he just gets that second touchdown. Because God knows it's not looking DK Metcalf's way. They got to trade for him. But anyway, I flipped him for Zeke Elliott, which is also a huge risk. I hate fantasy. What is going on with our stars this season? Anyway, that's a great segment idea. But bottom line is, I really do think Seattle is going to keep, as long as this season keeps going on, is going to keep looking at Adrian Peterson as a goal line back. So if you're looking for that flex play that you're not supremely confident in, but hey, it's risk reward, you could do a lot worse than Adrian Peterson. So I like AP in there for the Seahawks now.
Yeah, the big thing with Adrian Peterson is just, he's very touchdown dependent because his usage rate was just low.
If he doesn't score a touchdown, he's going to get you 2 points maybe.
Now, you can maybe chalk that up to him being, new with the Seattle Seahawks, still learning the playbook a little bit, but I still don't anticipate him getting much involved during the rest of the weeks as well. Yeah, exactly. So if he scores a touchdown, it's great for you, but just, yeah, it's a very risky play, but just, yeah, it's a low-end flex option. Not a bad addition, exactly like Tad alluded to earlier. The waiver wire pickings are
I was
very
just about to
slim
say,
now.
for those of you yelling at me, how could you possibly pick Adrian Peterson? You go to your waiver wire and tell me who you like better, because those pickings are very slim.
Yeah, exactly. It's getting very scarce out there as far as who you can add for your roster there, especially when you need Jonathan Taylor replacement this week. Like, that's going to be hard for you if you need to find somebody.
I did not consider the late bye week when I traded for Jonathan Taylor, so now I'm sitting there like, fuck.
Yeah, so that's a tough one there. So I'm going with another backup option here, and that's Peyton Barber of the Las Vegas Raiders. So unfortunately, news has come across that Kenyan Drake will miss the remainder of the 2021 season, suffered an ankle injury against the Washington football team just this past weekend. Josh Jacobs is still the clear starter. Like, I mean, there's no health concerns with him so far. I mean, we have mentioned that there are times where he somehow leaves a game sort of gimpy, but then always the next game he's always ready to go. So it's just
he's the Julio Jones of running back.
It's so weird, exactly. So I will say, though, that because of that fact, it's like there's an instance where Peyton Barber will garner enough touches and carries in the backfield that's like you could see some good usage out of him, because we kind of saw that with Kenyan Drake too. That's like they're sort of limiting how much they want to use Josh Jacobs in case he does suffer a serious injury and they have to miss him for multiple weeks. So in this case, I like Peyton Barber here as a good change of base back to get some good, breathing options for Josh Jacobs as they continue through a game. Raiders are going to face off against the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. Chiefs just surrendered. I mean, I just got to bring this up again because I have him for my playoff run. Javonte Williams totaled 178 yards and 1 touchdown against the Chiefs. Total breakout party for him. And so if he could do that, I think the Raiders could do something similar because the Chiefs rushing defense is just absolutely terrible. So Josh Jacobs will get his numbers, but I think there'll be enough leftover scraps for Peyton Barber to make a difference as well. He will need to score very similar to Adrian Peterson to make a huge difference, but I think, usage in the passing game, obviously as a runner as well, like I said, change of pace to Josh Jacobs, I think he could be a little bit more valuable compared to Adrian Peterson, but just, yeah, it's still very touchdown dependent. The waiver wire is very scarce here. We're doing the best that we can here, guys. I mean, cut us a breaker a little bit, but yeah, I do like Peyton Barber a little bit more than Adrian Peterson, but it's a very, 1-1A sort of situation.
Yeah, because I know I just said the same about Adrian Peterson, but Peyton Barber is a very situation-heavy flex option. So if the Raiders are down by a lot, they're passing it a lot, I see Peyton Barber getting a lot more attention than Josh Jacobs because he's the better receiving threat. But if the Raiders are ahead and they just need to keep pounding it down their opponent's throat, I don't see Peyton Barber getting that much love. So are they? Neither one is like a fantastic option. I do like AP a little bit more just because I think he's a little bit more touchdown friendly. But Peyton Barber is by no means a bad option.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move to the pass catchers here, Tad. Let's get to the wide receiver position first. Who do you like at the wide receiver position here in Week 14?
This is a guy we gave a throwback or a shout out to a couple weeks ago, if not last week, if I'm not mistaken. But it's Russell Gage. Look, this is probably my favorite pick of the episode because you're getting a team's top target at wideout when they seem to finally be hitting their stride. When I say hitting their stride, I do not mean winning games. Atlanta sucks. They are an absolute mess. They literally, I didn't know this until Scott Hansen said it on Red Zone. The reason Mike Davis did so well this past week, Cordero Patterson was too busy playing safety. That's how screwed up this team is. They had to play the running back at safety. And they were just like, all right, Mike Davis, while he's resting, you got it? He was like, yeah, I got it. Look, Atlanta's an absolute mess. But any team, no matter how bad they are, if you can get their number one wideout on waivers, especially at this point in the season, that is a great pickup. So you look at what Russell Gage has done over the past 3 weeks. He's had 7 or more targets. Over the past 2 games, he's had 15 or more points. And, I mean, like I said, the Falcons suck. They're going to be behind a lot. It means a lot of passing. It means a lot of that, more Russell Gage, Matt Ryan chemistry working. So, yeah, I think Russell Gage will continue to see a lot of looks and continue to produce pretty well. So, again, this is probably my favorite pickup of this week is Russell Gage if he is somehow still on your waivers this week.
The one thing that's worrisome about Russell Gage is that
You take that deep breath. I always know something bad's going to happen.
it worries me that it's like Calvin Ridley has been out for quite a bit here, and we all expected Russell Gage to sort of pick up the slack and be one of the key contributors in the passing offense, but it took so long till now. Like, I mean, he wasn't getting as many targets and receiving yards before that. Like, I mean, they're trying to go for it, but it's just like we weren't seeing the results from it. Like, I mean, we're finally saw it in this game that, you know, he was actually fantasy relevant.
No. Like I just say, he had 15 points last week.
2 weeks then. But I mean, it's like Calvin Ridley's been out for like almost 6 weeks, and it's like, why did it take almost 4 weeks for him to finally start to turn in?
Who cares why it took so long? Now it's finally happening.
So that's what worries me. That's like, I don't know if it's going to be consistent now. It's like, you saw it for 2 weeks, but it's like, you know, let's see if it happens again. But I still like him better than lots of the other options out there. So I do agree.
That is the exact, not saying that you're alone here, because I'm going to throw myself under the bus right here with you, buddy. That is the exact thought process that had me going against Cordell Patterson being picked up. I was like, why is he, jumping out now? Like, why is he doing so well now? This is a flash in the pan. So be very, very careful with that thought process, because that is the exact same trap I fell in.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And the big thing is just like, yeah, I think there's a lot of promise on him. It didn't live up to it. It's like now we're finally starting to see it. So it's just like hard to like, can I fully trust this? Because it's like we have a huge track record of just not seeing it. So that's my only worry there. But it's just like, yeah, I do agree with you. He is one of the stronger options, especially at the receiver position, if you need to pick up somebody for this week or for the, the fantasy playoffs as you get to those weeks, coming up in a couple of weeks here. So I'm going in a different direction. I'm going with a guy who's so widely available. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter what league you're playing in, you could pick this guy up. And that's Nick Westbrook-Akine of the Tennessee Titans. You want to know how widely available he is, Tad? 2.9% of ESPN leagues have him rostered, and 13% of Yahoo leagues.
I had a 99.9. Damn it.
Like, he is out there for people to get. Like, I mean, go get him. And the reason that I say go get him, like, you hear those numbers, and it's like, there's a reason he must be that widely available, right? Well, yes, that's true. But here's the big thing as to why I'm telling you to pick him up. A.J. Brown's on the IR. He's still going to miss another 2 weeks. Julio Jones has just been activated off the IR, but now he's going to start practicing, and there's no guarantee that he's going to play this week. What's been happening?
He's Julio Jones. There's no guarantee he'll make it through a quarter.
Exactly. He has still yet to score a touchdown as a Tennessee Titan. Yes, he's second on the team in receiving yards, but Nikel Westbrook-Akine is actually slowly creeping up on taking that number 2 position. A.J. Brown's clearly just far and above the leading receiver, so nobody's going to catch him. But just like, yeah, because of the absence of Julio Jones and at times A.J. Brown as well, Nikel Westbrook-Akine has sort of become the primary target in this offense, in the passing offense specifically. So, yeah, it's not the biggest name, and it's surprising, but he's sort of been doing it. Like, I mean, Ryan Tannehill's been looking his way. Like, I mean, he has 14 targets over his last 2 games, 132 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown. So, I mean, it's like he's clearly one of the more, like I said, he's the de facto number 1 option in this passing offense because they really don't have anybody else. So, if they're going to pass, they're probably going to be looking his way. We also have, possibly Dez Fitzpatrick could be an option. Golden Tate, I think, was just signed. So, I mean, he's going to get acclimated to this.
Golden Tate is still playing?
Yeah. He was signed to the practice squad. They had the bye week, and so he may be active, but it's like he's going to take some time to get acclimated. And of course, they have Chester Rogers, your former Colts player. Yeah, he's on the team as well. But we're still hearing more about Nick Westbrook-Akine over all these other players. So that's why I say go pick him up if you need a wide receiver option for this week and also going forward, because very much like we said, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones have been very injury prone this entire season. So if you need a passing option, a primary option, you could look, you could look in Nikel Westbrook-Akine's sort of direction. He could help you out if you need an insurance policy, like we were talking about previously with Tua Tagovailoa. So, yeah, it's not a name that a lot of people are recognizing, but he could help you out if you need him during these fantasy playoffs here.
I really like this pick. Like you say, he has that familiarity. If you're bringing in all these new faces like Golden Tate, who is somehow still playing. I don't know how in the world that's possible, but we'll move on from that one. But yeah, no, a lot of familiarity there. Julio Jones, even if he does play, who knows, like, he tweaks something in the middle of the game, all of a sudden he's out. So you just have, there are a lot of positives basically going forward here. So I actually really, really like this pick. This absolutely reeks of a pick of a guy that goes off for 20 points. And you're like, who the hell saw this coming? Well, now if you listen to our podcast, watch our podcast, you know, because it would not shock me if this was the guy that ended up with like, sure, maybe he won't do that well statistically in terms of like, okay, he only had like 60 yards, but he did it on like 10 catches. So he like ups that PPR, scoring total a little bit. So I could see this being like that kind of sneaky guy that like doesn't do great actually on the field, but fantasy wise, you took advantage of the situation and does really well.
Also, I just want to throw it to the fact that they're coming off a bye week and they'll be playing the Jacksonville Jaguars this weekend.
All
so
right, well, that's
just add an insurance policy to go pick them up.
About it. Like, that's just Jesus.
All right, Tad, let's sort of wrap up this episode here. We get to the tight ends, the defenses, and the kickers. So I know this is even harder for us to do with the waiver wires getting so further.
I spent like 2 minutes putting together my notes here. So
exactly. So just give us a couple options here at all those various positions if you have any.
All right, Evan Ingram, he's seen this 5 targets the last 3 weeks, scored 5+ points the last 2 weeks. Maybe they're finally respecting his talent now that Jason Garrett's gone. Never hire Jason Garrett again, people. Like, just leave him out of the NFL. He is terrible. So, Evan Ingram, I like him as a potentially breakout candidate. I don't know. If you're really hurting for a tight end, Ingram's among your best bets. I'm sorry. And then the Chargers defense, I know that may seem asinine, but look, they just put up 19 points against a very good Cincinnati Bengals offense. They're playing the Giants, Texans, and Broncos in 3 of their last 4 weeks. It's a pretty favorable schedule, so I like it. Even the Chargers defense haven't shown us much. And as for kicker, much like myself, if you're counting on a kicker to win you a game at this point, you're screwed. So sorry.
So yeah, for me, I'm going at the tight end position. I'm going with the name that we brought up before this episode
this
or
is
episodes before.
Name.
Tyler Conklin, the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
Adam Thielen unfortunately suffered a sprained ankle in that game against the Lions.
Oh, I didn't consider that connection. Okay.
And he will most likely miss the game on the short week. So it's not a severe ankle injury. So it's like if they were playing on Sunday, I think there might have been a chance that he could play. But because of the short turnaround on the Thursday game against the Steelers, it's more likely that they'll hold him out. So because of that, KJ Osborne's another wide receiver that I was considering.
I like that.
adding to
I
this
almost
episode,
put him as my receiver. I was this close. It was between him and Gage.
So he's a good option as well if you need some wide receiver help. But because of that, I also like Tyler Conklin to sneak away some of those red zone targets, who we mentioned already before. But with the loss of Adam Thielen, that's just one less red zone option that the Vikings have in the red zone. So yeah, I like Tyler Conklin more this week for sure. At the defense position, I already brought this up earlier with Teddy Bridgewater, but I expect the Broncos to have a bounce back. So that's why I like the Broncos defense.
Surtain had like 2-3 picks the other day. Like, he's doing well.
Yeah, and obviously, Bradley Chubb is starting to show up a little bit. They got some good guys on that defense. Unfortunately, they just had a really bad...
It is so weird that this defense is doing better without Von Miller. Like, who possibly could have seen that coming?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, but they are playing very well as a unit. Like I said, I expect them to bounce back against the Lions this week, so I expect them to have really good performance. And for kicker, I'm going with Matt Prater. Cardinals are playing the Rams this week. I think it's a very high-scoring opportunity. It's going to be a very close game. Last time these two teams met, Matt Prater scored 15 points. So if you need a kicker to get you some double-digit points, I think Matt Prater could possibly do that for you this week. So those are our picks for this week for the waiver wire for Week 14. We wish you the best of luck as you head into the final week of the regular season in your fantasy leagues. Possibly maybe your playoffs have started depending on where you are, so we wish you luck in the fantasy playoffs as well. And as always, we're here to help you out. That's why we do this show. We want to give you advice on, waiver wire options, on start sit-em, on, DFS as well, sports betting. There's so many things that we cover on this podcast that we want to help you out in any way that we can.
Fantasy
so make sure
punishments. If you're waiting on fantasy punishments to decide on at the end of the season, hey, we're here for you.
Exactly.
In my league alone, we had like 6 rejected. I'm like, guys, that's really, really good. And they're like, whatever. I'm like, damn it. So if I can inflict that on someone else, let me know.
Exactly. So we'll take any and all sort of interaction when it comes to fantasy football, even non-football stuff. You can see this on the Twitter, on the timeline there, the ticker. You got all of our Twitter handles. You got my personal handle, UnderTheSide23. You got Tad's at TadTheSide94. You got the show handle, DDecide, guys. So interact with us. We definitely want to talk with you about anything.
I just had today off work. I spent to catch up on all my shows. Latest episode of Succession was awesome. I'm dying to talk about it because my best friend who also watches it, he's like 4 episodes behind. So I can't talk about it with him. So I would love to talk about it with you guys. Also, just watched the new James Bond. I liked it. I thought it was a solid 7 out of 10. So that's the whole thing. If you guys want to talk about even stuff like that with us, please let us know. And please, if you have anything Spider-Man related, shoot it to Mer. No way home spoilers though. I should preface that.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, like I said, we're here to help you out with all your fantasy football related topics, and we definitely want to interact with you guys. But yeah, to everybody that tunes into the YouTube videos, tunes into our podcast, who subscribes to us, who gave us a good rating, who follows us, I mean, anything and everything in between. I mean, guys, we just can't thank you enough.
Appreciate it for listening, guys.